And that wraps up that book. And I'm not sure if I have much to add because Sidney Jerry seems to capture it. And so much of what he talks about explains so much, not only about being a soldier, but also about what it's like when a soldier is no longer a soldier. To miss the adrenaline, to miss that singular focus, to miss seeing men at their best, at their noblest. To miss the men themselves, your comrades, your friends, your brothers. To miss what he calls so perfectly that simple and sincere affection that exists in a platoon. An affection that I'm not sure exists anywhere else. And you hear me talk about, when I start talking about a SEAL platoon, about how that's the best thing in the world, and Sidney Jerry captures it better than me. You miss the mission and you miss the men. And, of course, you miss the fallen. As the British call them, the glorious dead. And you wonder what would have become of them. Where would they be now? And you wonder why. Why them? Why was it them? And I talk about the gift, right? The gift that they gave us, that the fallen have given us, this gift of freedom and this gift of life. But there's more. There's more. Because, you see, the rest of us, we grow old. And time passes us by. And that simple and sincere affection that Sidney Jerry describes, it changes as we change. It ages as we age. But the fallen do not change. The fallen do not age. Time has no effect on them. They remain. They remain young and bold and brave and unconquerable. And so we remember them that way. As they were and as they will always be. Our heroes. Heroes who walk no more and yet walk everywhere with us. Who smile no more and yet they never stop smiling. Heroes who live no more yet never stop living. Our friends who shine no more and yet never stop shining. And that is the other gift that they give us. The fortune to bask in their light. And to remember. And I think that's all I've got for tonight. So, Echo, maybe if you could talk about something else for a little while.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it.
Sure. You know, a part that kind of stood out, and we talked about this before, where there was that part where, you know, the Germans, the bayonets, they were attacking 150 yards away. Mm-hmm. And they just get mowed down. They just get killed. And then the red flag comes up. The stretchers come out. Everyone sees fire. It's kind of like, you know, they're following these specific rules.
Yeah.
And then, so they collect the bodies and they salute. Kind of like, okay, we're good. And then he salutes back. Okay, solid. Now, game on. Essentially game on now. But this is like a war, though. You know, it's different. I mean, you kind of get that same feeling way on a lower level, obviously. But, like, you ever watch, like, a UFC fight and then the round ends? Yeah. And then the guys kind of, like, bump gloves, kind of like, good round, you know?
For sure.
Bro, 2 seconds ago, you guys were trying to knock the guy out. You know, just like in this situation. 2 seconds ago, these guys were coming to kill you, and you killed them. Killed them.
Yeah.
Boom. It happened. Round over. You know, let's essentially continue following the rules. And it's weird because it's less about the rules and more about like the respect, you know?
It is. And on top of that, you can pile on the fact that when they were in Hoven Woods, the Germans had booby-trapped the British bodies, so they were just laying there. They didn't get the same respect back.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that Sidney Jerry is very intent on throughout the book, is that regardless of how depraved the enemy acts, they are going to take the high road.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's why they give this book to everyone at Sandhurst, which is the British military academy. They give it to everyone. And that's a great reason why, because he sets a standard with his troops and they hold that standard. through, regardless of the way the enemy behaves. They don't lower themselves to that behavior. You know, the worst atrocity that gets committed by his soldiers is when they spank a Waffen SS guy on the ass.
Yeah.
You know, that's why this book is so powerful. And you know, there's a lot of, the book is very, you know, there's stuff in there that you just aren't ready for, right? Even when he was talking about the traits that someone should have. And you know, when you start thinking about it, he's right.
Yeah. He's
right. And if you had the choice between getting some meathead that was going to go do your bidding, even though he might look like a big beast, and he's going to, but then if you think about how's that guy going to act when things get tough or when things become ethically challenging, how's that person going to act? So these are, and I love the fact also that, man, he's killing people. He's you know, it's easy to get caught up in the fact that he's wearing corduroy pants and he's got this. There's another part I didn't go over in the podcast, but there's a group of German. There's like German, some kind of artillery piece and an artillery team, and they're getting the Brits are getting their guns dialed in to the team, and they're going to start killing them, and they make a run for it. And they have horses, and there's like 6 guys and some horses towing this artillery piece away. And Sidney Jerry feels happy. He's happy that he's especially happy the horses, like, you know, he doesn't like seeing the animals get killed. Yeah. And so he's actually happy that these guys escape. And then he just says, you know, well, that's wrong because these guys are going to come back and kill my soldiers. Yeah. So he does you can see how hard it is for someone to be in these situations where you have the good conscience, which wants to do the right thing, and at the same time, you got to kill people. Yeah. And that's what makes combat so hard.
Yeah. And even kind of gets you thinking back. Remember the Christmas the Christmas truce, where the Germans kind of, in that situation, they initiated that, right? They were like,
I think it was like a mutual initiation. But if you remember that particular story, but I think overall it was almost like a mutual initiation. But yes, in that particular story, there was sort of a voice that says, hey, I
won't shoot you or whatever. And yeah, man, it's just crazy how that can kind of emerge from these situations where guys are just straight up getting blown to pieces on purpose, by the way. Not, you know, not like some tragic accident. Like that's the intent. That's the intention. And then they want to just stop and sing together, play soccer.
And then the next day, by the way, they're going back to killing each other en masse.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, that's the thing about, a book like this is so revealing of human nature because business people have to do the same thing. Yeah. You know, if you're a business person and your business is losing money, well, guess what you might have to do? Cut staff. You know, if you got to, and let's say we're working with a small business, or you've got a small business, you got 20 people. You know all those 20 people. Yeah. It's not like a nameless person that you're firing.
Right.
When you let go 4 or 5 people because you need to save money next quarter or you're going to lose your building, guess what? You're going to know those people.
Yeah.
And so it's the same dichotomy where this boss who wants to take care of his people, just like Sidney Jerry wants to take care of his men, and all of a sudden the only way to do your mission is you're going to get some of these people killed, or you're going to fire some of these people. Otherwise our plant shuts down. Otherwise we can't go forward.
Yeah.
And everyone dies. No one has a job now. So the similarities, again, that's why these things about war reveal so much about human nature, which is really what this podcast is about. It's about human nature. And the better you understand human nature, there's 2 things that can happen. Number 1, the better you can lead other people, but equally as important, if not more important, is if you understand human nature, you can understand yourself.
Yeah.
You can understand the decisions that you're making. You can understand why something's bothering you. You can understand what you need to conclude so that you can move forward in the best possible way. Yeah. And if you don't understand human nature, that's understanding yourself.
Yeah.
And these books allow you to gather and garner so much of that.
Yeah, especially all the similarities. So many. All the time. I remember in not junior high. Yeah, it was junior high. Maybe early high school. So when I used to play Pop Warner football, where my best friend played for a different team. But we're all, it's in Pop Warner, it's different. It's not by school. It's by, like, region, Like, not region, I guess town.
Mm-hmm.
Live on Kauai. There's no regions on Kauai, I don't think. Anyway, so my best friend at the time, his name was Byron. He, who became a pilot, by the way. I think
in the military?
Yeah, Army or Marines, I forget. Anyway, he played for a different team, but we were best friends. So it was kind of that thing, where you're friends with the guys, but then, you go on the battlefield and you guys are battling and you're back to friends. It's just weird.
Yeah. You're not killing them, though.
No, way different. Yeah, I understand. Did you ever see that in Iraq? Like any of that, like, I don't know, compassion?
Yeah, for sure.
Even with the enemy types?
Not so much with the enemy types.
That's what I mean.
But with the civilian types, for sure. I mean, obviously. And you'd see guys would go completely out of their way to try and protect a civilian. The enemy over there is a lot.
It's different, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's here you have a uniformed soldier.
Yeah.
There you don't have a uniformed soldier. You got somebody that's trying to sneak around and blow you up with an IED.
Yeah.
And you don't see that same level of now. Once you get a guy captured, that's it. Okay, we got him captured. Zip him up. Put him in the back of the Humvee. That's it.
Yeah.
So you definitely what he talks about is this mutual respect of like, look, we're sitting in a slit trench getting mortared, and when I meet you, you're on the other side, but I know that you've been sitting in a slit trench getting mortared all day.
Right.
That's why we have mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
In Iraq, it's asymmetrical warfare, so they're not suffering the same type of situation.
Yeah.
And they also, one thing that really throws that stuff out the window is the way that the insurgents treated the civilian populace.
Yeah.
So we're witnessing non-judicial murders, like when executions. Right. We're seeing that. We're seeing civilians getting tortured. We're seeing, people being beheaded. And so when you see that, you're there trying to help these people, and you start to think, look, if you're another infantryman in an opposing army, I can empathize with you. Right. I can understand what you're going through. Yeah. But if you're another army, but I see you raping, torturing, murdering, burning people alive, I don't empathize with you anymore. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, not really.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, you'd get, like, you could tell that someone would be mixed up in something that they shouldn't have been mixed up in.
Yeah.
Maybe a young kid, maybe a 17, 18-year-old. Because some of those kids, some of the insurgents were not vehemently, pro Al-Qaeda. Yeah. Some of them were just, hey, look, I'm going to get paid $50 to put an IED in the road.
My gig, yeah.
Yeah, and if you paid me $50 to go and plant, crop over there, I'd just as soon do that.
Yeah.
So you'd see some of that. There'd be, okay, look, this kid's just, he's just caught up in something he doesn't understand. Yeah. And then again, the dichotomy is, if you're putting an IED in the road to kill Americans, bro, I don't care about you, and I want to kill you.
Yeah.
That's all there is to that. But it's definitely a different scenario when the people that you're fighting are the ones that are committing these kinds of atrocities. Because even as these guys, you see how he differentiate between like the Waffen SS and like a normal infantry group. He differentiates those two.
Yeah.
That'd be like if, let's say, the war in Iraq was against, let's say Al-Qaeda had taken over Iraq and you were fighting either the hardened Al-Qaeda guys or some normal, infantrymen from the Iraqi army. Those guys, you'd have been like, hey, look, this dude surrendered. Okay.
Yeah.
The Al-Qaeda guys, first of all, they're probably not going to surrender.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're going to not get the same treatment that a guy that's a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of the Germans, they're a victim of circumstance. Hey, this guy came into power. I was a soldier. I'm still a soldier.
Yeah.
And
Man, it's heavy.
It is. But there is definitely a mutual respect that you have for another serviceman that's, has been through the same kind of crap that you've been through.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Makes sense. So, with that, speaking of heavy, lifting kettlebells.